Let's go, ladies and gents. Welcome back. My name is Kovuplays to play games. Today we're gonna tap into some more Touchstarved. Press any button you say. What about the spacebar? Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Hope you guys are enjoying it right now. We're gonna continue right where we left off, which is right here. I find myself standing in a narrow and rather gloomy alley. I pull the new cloak up and over my nose, stepping over the contents of chamber pots that have been emptied into the streets. Interesting. Something weighs heavy inside of the cloak's pocket. My coin purse. Everything is still inside. Every last coin that I scraped together for the journey to Iridia. It doesn't even look like it was open. There were so few coins to begin with and probably weren't worth stealing. I glanced back at the clinic's closed doors. Curious didn't take any payment. He didn't even ask for a future favor. But he also said that Iridia's secrets are that in Iridia, secrets are power. Does he expect me to give up mine at some point? That's not exactly a comforting thought. Still, no matter why did he, Curious, give me a second chance and a lead on where to find help? I better get going before he changes his mind. I squeeze out of the alley and into the crowded main streets. The line outside Curious's clinic stretched down the road already. Two thin peddlers queued alongside weathered elders. If any place in a desperate need of free clinic, this is the one. The cobblestones are treacherously rough under my feet. Deep grooves worn between them by regular flooding and decades of hard use. I knew Iridia was a river city, but I didn't expect it to look so eroded. The buildings are tired and dilapidated, all crammed together in narrow streets. A child darts by, clutching something greasy wrapped in paper. The smell of fried food drifts over me. My stomach gives a fatal gurgle. Vendor. This morning's catch, fried up hot and fresh. Not too many eyeballs today. What does that even mean? That sounds disgusting, but I'm starving, so I duck my head under a stall, under a stall's grubby awning. A large fish leering up at me, three bulging eyes visible through a thick layer of crispy batter. The vendor gives up a gap-toothed grin. What's the cheapest thing you've got? The vendor points at a metal basket of what looks like long stripes of savory fresh dough. Fresh, long plaids. 3 copper pieces. Don't burn your mouth. Hit the coins out, counting them gingerly. At this rate, I might not even be able to afford dinner. Reluctantly, I drop the payment on the counter and take my meal. 2 streets later, I pass under a wrought iron archway adorned with dangling garlands of red and pink lilies. The buildings in this square are a dizzying riot of colors, painted walls and tinted glass everywhere I look. Sheer red and pink curtains flutter in open doorways. Musical voice call out invitingly. Incense mingle with the pungent smell of flowers, barely covering the salt and musk of warm bodies. This must be Iridia's entertainment district. I'm polishing off my food and dusting the crumbs from my hands when I spot a poster. It features the silhouette of a smiling man wearing a single dagger-like earring and the word Bloodhounds printed above his head. A motto, as above, so below, circle the artwork. If Leander is leading the Bloodhounds, then the face printed on the poster is likely his. I follow the line of indicated posters around the corner and nearly hitting my head on a curiously dangling wooden sign. Looking up, fadingly orange red letters win. The Wet Wick. Hey, the Wet Wick, we finally found it. The facade of the building looks like it's been several days, but I hear faint music and laughter coming from inside. The inside of the bar is a far cry from the abandoned exterior. It's not even midday yet. Most of the tables and booths are occupied by a loose assembly of people in matching green clothes. There's a lot you can tell about a city by its dives. There's one seems ordinary enough, even in uniforms are unusual. A cursory glance doesn't turn up in with a dagger-shaped earring. I'm about to head towards the counter when a chant rises from the center of the room. Show. The remaining green cloaks abandon the bar, and their booths rush towards the center of the room, and suddenly a torrent. There's no time to move out of the way. I'm caught, swept up with the hell-stench current. Hey! Rhythmic chanting drowns out my voice. I thrash, throwing out my elbows as the press of bodies grows heavier. My hip knocks into a table. I grip it, holding on tight to steady myself, but the crowd is stilled and chanting and stopped. A pair of gilding boots strike across the table. Seriously? You dogs again? Scattered laughter and cheers rise from the audience. I drag my eyes upwards. A well-dressed man standing on a table in front of me, his broad shoulders framed by a thick lapel of a trench coat. This really is the last time, all right? This time, when he speaks, the audience falls silent, as though bewitched by his magnetic presence or a rich, low voice. But nothing is as captive as his smile. He beams with the crowd around him, a performer in his makeshift stage. Don't blink, or you'll miss it. He laughs, and the dagger-shaped earring dangles from his left ear, catching the light as a flash of gold. It would seem I've found Leander. He raises his hand above the audience and snaps. A flash of pale green light, real magic. No ordinary stage trick blinds me. As a brilliant ebb, my gaze refocuses on the mage tower above me. He flicks his wrist and the magical spiraling around him coalesce. A delicate flower stem sprouts from between his pinched fingers. One by one, glowing lily petals spring forth. With a flourish, the mage presents the conjured flower. The audience bursts into clapping and cheers. A genuine magic show was the last thing I expected from a place called the Wet Wick. Leander plucks his iridescent bouquet out of the air and turns it into a slow circle, giving his audience a good look. Now, who could use some luck? Eager outlookers scoot closer to the table. Some reach for the lilies, while others whistle and call Leander's name. But his cool green eyes slide right over them, locking on me instead. How about you? My chest tightens. Every person's gathered turn stares at me. Do we take the flowers? Do we refuse the flowers? Let's take the flowers. Why not? Some magic. I reach out, all too aware. All of my fingers tremble as I carefully take the flower from him. There's no weight to them, only a faint warmth and radiance from the stem. As soon as the flower leaves Leander's hands, their dim lights, they fade away in a shower of opalescent light. To my surprise, Leander's laugh under his breath. That's the problem with flowers. They don't last, but they leave an impression, right? He grins at me, and I find myself smiling back. Leander steps off the table, dropping among the excited crowd with an audible click. All right, Bloodhounds, get back to your drinks. Show's over. The green cloaks disperse in his command, returning them to their tables and booths. Before I can make my way towards Leander, his eyes find me. He gives me a friendly wave, then beckons me over to the crowded counter. I manage to squeeze beside him, but there's so little room in his broad shoulders pressed against mine. I tense, but he doesn't seem to mind at all. Is this your first time in Iridia? He says in a lightly but genuine air of curiosity. Do I stick out that much? No, but I'm certain I remember seeing a face as lovely as yours around my lowdown. My eyes flicker to the polished countertop. I'm not used to flattery, and being this close makes eye contact difficult. Also, I didn't know the doors would go this way, so guys, prepare for something. As if on cue, the bartender approaches us. What can I get you? Surprise me. An add anything my friend wants to my tab. I wasn't expecting the generosity, but I have to admit, I do feel a little thirsty after all that fried dough. I'll have what he's having. While the bartender leaves to fix our drinks, Leander leans his elbow on the counter. I'm close enough to notice the purple shadow under his lower lids. His eyes wander over to me in return, but when I lock on my bandaged hands, a sour taste rises in my throat. Here comes the questions. So, what brings you to the Wick? Curious sent me. He pushes his hair back from his forehead, but I immediately fall right back into place. So it's about work. The bartender returns with a pair of glasses filled with what can only assume to be is beer. I raise my glass and give him an experimental sniff. Give it an experimental sniff. It smells faintly yeasty, but with a undercurrent I can't quite place. A quick sip confronts my worst suspicion. It's awful. Somehow briny and sour in a way that reminds me of pickles. But any thought of complaining dies the moment I look up to see Leander taking a deep swig of his glass. He lets out a satisfied breath. How can I be of existence? How can I be of assistance? Man, I can't speak today. One more time. How can I be of assistance? I need to get to Cenobium. As soon as the word Cenobium leaves my mouth, the entire bar falls silent. Bloodhounds switch around in their seat to gawk openly. Finally, an especially drunk one speaks up. The hell are you bringing up the Cenobium in here? Throw him out! This is Bloodhound territory. The vitriol catches me off guard. From the angry looks thrown my way, it's clear I've broken some unspoken rule that just by mentioning the Cenobium. When I glance at Leander, he drinks, as though he didn't notice the uproar. Only when he catches me looking does he lower his glass. For the love of... He drags a hand down my face. Hey, keep it down, William. This is business. I tense, expecting an argument, but the outspoken bloodhounds silently return to their drinks. Only a handful continue to watch me warily. Sorry about them. The Cenobium's a bit of a touchy subject in these parts. Mix in enough drinks and, well, you saw. How about we continue this outside? When I give him a terse nod, he pushes away from the bar counter. I follow Leander to the alleyway tucked behind the wet wig, where layers of frayed bloodhound posters have been plastered over the walls. Seeing them side by side, the resemblance between Leander and his likenesses on the poster is impressive. Curious didn't send you here to help me with the Cenobium, did he? From the look he gives me, he already knows the answer. I glance away. No, he didn't. I suggested I find an alternative. Yet here you are, asking about them anyway. What do you need the Cenobium for? I don't want to tell him about my curse. The less people know about my capabilities, the better. Thankfully, Leander takes my reluctant silence as an answer. Well, I see you're already aware of the city's currency. Information's worth its weight in gold here. Curious told you the truth. The Cenobium's dangerous. Get on their bad side and they'll imprison you if you're lucky, or torture you if you're not. But the Cenobium's supposed to be a place of learning, a sanctuary. The Cenobium has always been heralded as the last bastion of human knowledge, a shining beacon of hope in a world steep in nightmares. If any place held answered, it would be the Cenobium. That's why I came here. That's what they want you to think, but things that seem too good to be true are often just that. Such a simple statement, and yet it leaves me reeling. If it's true, if I stake everything on a lie, then what now? Leander clears his throat. But as I always say, there's solutions to every problem and alternatives to every solution. He claps his hands to turns to me with a brilliant smile. That's why Curish pointed at you to the Bloodhounds. Let us help you. Whether it's hunting, soulless, finding people, or recovering stolen valuables, we can do it all. And free of charge. I'm shaking my head before even finishing his practice speech. My patience is wearing dangerously thin. Listen, I appreciate the offer, but my problem can't be solved by a group of good Samaritans. To my chagrin, Leander nods slowly. Then your problem must be fairly serious. And if the cenobium's your first choice, you're searching for a magical solution, aren't you? When my eyes widen, he nods along, as though he suspected all along. I'd be happy to help you out. That is, if you tell me what ails you. Leander might not work for the cenobium, but he is a mage, and a powerful one that, if his demonstration earlier is any indication. And I'm silent, plagued by indecision. I don't know if I can trust him, but it's not like I have an alternative. I hate to admit it, but this could be my only path forward. My confession comes out with a pained whisper. I'm cursed. Cursed? Oh, now I'm very curious. What kind of curse? Something ancestral or more recent? He looks me up and down, taking my face, my eyes, and finally my hands. It's your hands, isn't it? I wait until I'm certain my voice will remain steady before answering. My touch is dangerous. It changes people, hurts them. Before I even finish, Leander begins taking off his glove. He tugs his left hand free and flexes his fingers. Let's see it. He offers me his hand. A prismatic flash of magic ripples across his palm, but I'm already shrinking backwards. I can't. I don't care how confident Leander is. I can't bring myself to hurt him. To see his face twist into a mask of madness. Believe me, this isn't an ordinary curse. I'll be fine. Perhaps where you come from. Your affliction was strange and one of a kind. But spend a year in a city and you'll find thousands of cursed and thrice as many cures. Do you really think that Curious would send you here if I couldn't handle it? How should I know? I only met him today. I'm as good as any mage in Cenobium. Better even. If they can help you, so can I. You don't know what you're asking of me. I'm asking you to trust me. I look from Leander's outstretched hand to his confident smile. Then with a short breath, I begin unwinding my bandage from my hand. Fine. But if you lose control, don't say I didn't warn you. You can tie me up first if that makes you feel better. With each joint I expose, I grow more and more certain that this is a terrible idea. Ready when you are. If he bothers by the way my hands look, he doesn't show it. My fingers hover shakingly above his palm. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna save really quick. Let's save over this. Overwrite that, yeah. Touch him. I tap his palm once, as quickly as possible. It's barely more than a brush, but that's all it ever takes. Then look at his face expression to see the worst. Leander only grins. See? It can't be this time. When I reach out to touch Leander's palm again, he catches my wrist before I can pull away. I told you, there's really nothing to worry about. He trails off when my thumb brushes the soft skin of his inner wrist. I search Leander's face for traces of madness, but his eyes remain as a clear, soft green. Color rises in his cheeks, but he remains still, except for a subtle bobbing of his throat. Neither of us speak as I trace the contour of Leander's palm, lost in an awareness I wasn't prepared for. I've been without other people, kissed them, been embraced by them, and more, but not like this. My fingers, long derived by years of bandaging, picked up every single detail: the groove of his palm, the smell of his nails, the pulse of his heart. For as long as I've tried, I've never been able to hold someone's hand, not without dire consequence. I never realized what I was missing until this moment. While Leander's pulse is steady, mine is hammering, as fear gives way to the excitement. Keep touching him or let him go. Let him go. I draw my hand back, take a steady breath. My hand feels as though it's stuffed with cotton. Habit alone guides me through the motions of rewrapping my hands, although my fingers tremble too much for the bandage to lie flat. I can't believe that worked. May I ask your name? I'm Kovu. You were right to hide this from me, Kovu. That curse of yours. It's unlike anything I've ever dealt with. I can tell. You're discreet, but best not go off showing that to anyone else. I didn't plan on it. Are you staying in Lowtown? I pause. Room and board was something I hadn't yet considered. I don't know. Let's get you properly settled then. The wet wick is noticeably quieter. That's where I'm going to pause, ladies and gents. I'm going to pause there because I have some other things to attend to, unfortunately. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Touchstarved. My name is Kovu. I like to play games. I hope you guys enjoy my narrations as well, too. I try my best to get into character a little bit, but, I don't know what the story's got planned for me. So I'm reading this for the first time the same way that you guys are. And I hope that I'm not doing too bad. We'll be back for even more of this very, very soon, but I have some more things to attend to. Until then, ladies and gents, goodbye.